With the Grammys, Oscars, and the Streamer Awards being wrapped up, I think it's finally time to address the massive elephant in the room. Why do we care about this? No, seriously, have you stopped and wondered why do people watch this crap? Award shows have been a huge thing ever since the 70s, all the way up until the late 2010s. But lately they have been on a decline ever since the 2020s have rolled around, every single year gaining less and less viewership. From highs of 40, 50, 60 million viewership to now some of them barely gaining 10 million viewers, which is still a lot, but not as nearly as it was even a few years ago. So what happened? Well, first, we need to know how we got here. To start, award shows began as a private dinner hosted by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science and presented by, at the time, President Douglas Fairbanks on May 19, 1929. There were absolutely no cameras allowed and it only lasted 15 minutes, with news of who won being printed the next day in the newspaper. Remember those? But the second Academy Award was broadcasted on radio, and that tradition carried on for a solid 25 years, up until the 25th Academy Award being hosted on TV on March 19, 1953. And then 6 years later, the Grammys followed with a similar formula. Now, one of the biggest problems with award shows is there. In its almost 100-year existence, it didn't change very much. Yes, the shows got bigger and more people know about it, but the formula is still the same. We changed so much as a society, and life isn't close as it was 50 years ago. But for some reason, these award shows are so stubborn and stuck in their ways that they refuse to change and evolve from their older ways. Like first, why they're not available anywhere online? It's not streamed on YouTube, Twitch, or any of the gajillion streaming services. Like, where do I watch this bullshit? Yeah, I know, TV. But bro, I'm a zoomer. I don't know how to operate this damn machine, and plus, more than half of my generation don't even have TVs. So what is the point of award shows only being on TV? In the big year of 2025, there is no point for it, unless you have a console, and even that is debatable. With everything being so accessible nowadays, I feel like TV networks have gotten lost in the sauce. Because there's just no point of waiting and scrolling to find something interesting, where you can just go online and search what you're looking for. And if I'm doom scrolling TV, there's no way I'm watching this.
And the internet went wild with this moment. Leonardo DiCaprio was slightly startled by the pop star as she brushed up behind his chair, and his reaction was absolutely priceless.
I don't give a shit.
Besides, you guys have massive channels with hundreds of thousands, some even millions of subscribers, but you only stream to TikTok and just the pre-show. Like, what? Also, another thing. Why do I never know when these things are happening? It's always a day later I go on Instagram and it's red carpet photos, interviews, who won, any funny moments, legit everything, but a day before, all I hear is crickets. Like, I thought there would be like some sort of marketing, ads, commercial, billboards, anything, but no. Everyone shows up like they've been preparing for months with the outfits and the speeches, and I'm just sat back in my chair thinking, why does this always happen? Does everyone just know about it and I'm just out of the loop? I'm so confused. Just please tell me if it's a me thing or something. Back on track. Did anyone notice that ever since the Kanye West interruption of Taylor Swift at the 2007 Grammys, the only press you hear about these shows is always negative? Like, you got the Macklemore daylight robbery, the Chris Rock slap, the Astroworld robbery, the Utopia robbery, pretty much anything that has to do with Travis Scott, the Drake speech that got cut, the Nicki Minaj This Says, the Moonlight La La Land mix-up. I mean, I could keep going and going about all the things that happened, but there are a lot of videos already covering it. But I just want to say that it isn't surprising. People on the internet are either there to laugh, complain, or be entertained. And when they see or hear that their favorite actor or musician didn't get their award, they do nothing. Because if you have more than a couple of brain cells, you'll already realize that these award shows mean nothing at all to you. We hear so many stories of people being snubbed and the Grammys giving Album of the Year to who the fuck knows who at this point. And Eminem already exposed this years ago about the Grammys.
You go in really hard about the Grammys in a way, man, you drag the Grammys in the mud when you talk about, you have a few Grammys, but you feel like you had to sell your soul to get them. And you didn't know if you wanted it for the recognition or the trophies, but then what's the difference? You know, and that Grammys pretty much suck the blood of artists and nominate them, have them come to the shows, and
which they do every fucking year, yeah. And I'm just tired of seeing it. And for whatever reason, it's like they're always pitching this hint that you might win Album of the Year, which used to be a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal now. Mm-hmm. You know, sat at home this year for the Grammys and watched Jay and Kendrick not get it, and I felt like one of them should have got it. I felt like Joyner Lucas should have won a Grammy for I'm Not Racist.
Yeah.
Absolutely should have won a fucking Grammy. every year we went, it was, I would be up for album of the year, and then the winner is Norah Jones. Who? And I'm not even trying to say anything bad about her music. I just, at that point, I had never heard of her.
But I have enough faith in humanity that you have already realized this and that we stopped caring a long time ago. And also, there are so many award shows, it's kind of insane if you think about it. Maybe that's why the viewership is down. It's so oversaturated. You got the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, the BET Awards, the Kids' Choice Awards, the MTV Music Video Awards, the Streamer Awards, the Critics' Choice Awards, the Brit Awards, the Tonys, and so many I can't be asked to name them. Like, just why? Before it was just the Grammys and the Oscars for most part, but now everyone wants a slice of the pie. It became way too hard to keep up. Went from everybody getting a fair share to getting that Mickey Mouse slice. There's no need for this many award shows. I think if you have any sort of attention in some sort of entertainment, you will be handed an award just for existing, it feels like. Don't you think that with this many award shows that the award kind of loses value? Just something to think about. Now let's talk about the voting process in award shows. See, unlike what should have been in the first place, with a fan voted contest and the audience, the people making the final decision for the events that are happening, nah, that doesn't make sense. You wanna know who are the people who decide who gets the awards? Well, drumroll please. We don't fucking know. Yep, it's just a bunch of random people who nobody knows, and that is how it is for most of them. Which, as you saw, can cause quite a problem. But how do these expert panelists in their respective field decide who wins the award? Well, first, they see the nominations. People who have submitted their movies, songs, etc., which is a larger company behind the act who send out their work, which I assume they get hundreds, maybe even thousands of submissions every year. Then they vote on who makes the cut for this year, and the process goes on and on until they have either 4 or 5 nominees left. Then after that gets done, it gets sent out to the public via a live stream or a website/blog post. And then voting time. Most of the award shows are fan voted ones, when they let their fans fully vote on who wins the award, which is a terrible idea, but that's for later. But the big two, the Oscars and the Grammys, are not. They have their experts who vote on the winners for the award show. Now, here's a little fun trivia for y'all. How many people do you think are on the panelists for the Oscars? And how many people do you think are eligible to vote? Well, there are over 10,000 members on the Academy Awards, with over 9,900 that are eligible to vote. There is no need for that many people. So how do they decide the winner? Well, they look at how successful, let's say, a movie is for this, how successful the movie is, and how many people watched it. Do the people liked it? Which is just a look at the IMDb rating or Rotten Tomatoes. And of course, the campaign. The campaign can mean a lot of things, whether it be interviews, press conferences, social media presence, ads, commercial, and handing some money under the desk and hoping for your return on investment in the future. Or doing something other under the desk, but that's not for today. So there is a reason for why actors and musicians do this. What you thought they do BuzzFeed interviews because they care about the fans? You dummy, of course not. They need for something larger. But you can tell this method can storm quite an unbiased way of making, giving people awards when it's clear they didn't deserve it, just because they have some connection with some on the voting squad. Whatever the case may be, there's unfairness with this system. But what about the fan voted ones? Well, the first problem comes with spam. Let's just say the Grammys went into full-on fan vote. There's gonna be some people trying to find a way to spam votes into these shows, and just the people aren't really prepared for that. Award shows are an old-man industry. No one knows how to work this damn computer. But anyways, let's just say everything managed to go smoothly and all the fan votes are in. For this next problem, I'm gonna use the Streamer Awards as an example, because they use a 70-30 split, with the fan votes being 70% and the 30% being panelist votes, which I think it's the best way to go about it. But for this experiment, let's check out the Streamer of the Year, with the nominees being Emiru, Kai Cenat, IShowSpeed, K-Drool, and Pirate Software. Now, seeing as everyone in this list have a very massive audience, you won't have a lot of people voting. Now, the fans of Emiru are gonna vote for her, the fans of Kai are gonna vote for him, the fans of Speed, yada yada yada, you get the point. Now I'm gonna explain why this makes no sense. But see, because of the Streamer Awards don't show the exact numbers of how many people voted, take these numbers with a handful of salt. Let's just assume a flat million people voted, which I know, highly likely more people did, but it's just easier using a flat even number. Let's just say that Emiru got around 150,000 votes, Kai Cenat around 250,000, IShowSpeed 300,000, K-Drool 75,000, and Pirate Software 225,000. Now, by using the 70-30 split that the Streamer Awards use, the panelists have around 300k worth of votes to play around with, which means pretty much anyone can take this home. Maybe by some miracle, if the entire panel are League of Legends enjoyers, K-Drool, even though he had the least amount of votes by the fans, he can easily win this. But as we all know, that didn't end up happening. But for a fact that in some way that can happen is crazy. The Streamer Awards didn't release the fan vote count and who the panelists voted for, but just wanted to point out that these types of things can happen. Not saying that they did, but it's just something to keep in mind. There's a great video about democracy by this channel, which highlighted the same type of problem, but just in politics. Even though Speed won with 300,000 votes, 700,000 people didn't vote for him, but he still walked away as the winner. You see the problem? I'm not saying this as a diss towards him or any other streamer. I could have easily used any other example for this, but I chose them for better SEO. I'm just saying that it's impossible to make an award show because of the formula that is created around it. Are you gonna make it a popularity contest? Or who made the most money? Who got the most views? Who had the biggest stream? Well, that doesn't make sense because the popular one doesn't always equate to the best. Are you gonna make it a full-on fan-voted one? Well, I already explained why that doesn't work. Are you gonna be corrupt and give it to someone you like or watch, or someone who gave you the most money under the desk? I mean, you could, but it would be pretty obvious when that does happen. You see, every path I can think of for making a award show leads to a bad ending. You can't make it good by any means necessary in my eyes. But still, the Streamer Awards is the best award show out there, and it's not even close. You have someone who is a streamer that handpicks everything, and everything has to be in line with what she thinks is the best, and it resulted in the best version that it could be. Basically, it's really hard to put on a good show when the entire formula is bad. You can't make everyone happy, but this is the closest we've gotten. All love to Cutie.
I get strep throat from sucking dick.
So after all of this, you're probably thinking, so what is the point of award shows even then? Well, let me tell you, there is a point for every single award show out there, which I mentioned previously. The reason celebrities keep showing up to these events year after year after year and keep submitting their work year after year after year, having that stamp of approval, the Grammy nominee, the Academy Award winner, the Emmy winner, actually goes on a lot in Hollywood, more than you think. Because having that label of somewhat winner gives the studios more of a reason to cast an actor for a movie, and for the actor to have more leverage in negotiating a deal for a role. Same thing goes for musicians, like dealing with record labels or any other business venture they're in. That is why you always see in trailers that if someone is nominated or a winner of an award, they make sure to slap that somewhere so you would see it. Like, hey, look, this guy won something that we came up with. The campaigns people make to appease these award show panelists is so important to them, and that is why they spend millions of dollars for them, because in the future they will get a return on investment which will further their career drastically in the way they see fit. In the end, it's all just business. Let me wrap this conclusion up so I can go to bed. If you're asking me, I think we should shut this entire thing down. Just nope, burn it all down. It doesn't need to exist anymore. The only press about award shows have been negative, and that has been the case for the past 15 years. No weird interactions between celebrities, we all know it's fake as fuck. There's not a right way for votes to be collected, and I can't think of a way to make it correct. And the fact the entire premise is only useful just to suck up to the higher ups of Hollywood is bullshit, and we all know it. Why do I need that stamp of approval just for you to take me serious? Award shows are pointless to you. It's just to suck up to some old executive, and people have realized that. I'm Spaceman Dino. Hope you enjoyed.